And okay. Oh, let me get rid of some of this stuff.
Whoa, hello.
Okay, can you see me?
Yeah.
All right, so this is
I'm not sure what we're looking at here. Like, why are we looking at that page?
What are you looking at?
I'm literally looking at your internet page.
Oh.
There we go.
All right.
That was just a little confusing.
Okay. All right. So this is what we're doing, chat. This is all right. So
I'm assuming you're doing the intro.
Yeah, I'll do the intro. So this is the week that was. This is a part of the Oddball Show where we go over Oddball Magazine with Associate Editor Chad Parenteau.
It's almost like it happened a few days ago.
Yeah, it's almost like it just happened a few days ago. And Chad is the Associate Editor of Oddball Magazine. He picks all of the poetry and the comic strips and all the good stuff that's on it. And I thought maybe we would start back on Monday and go from last week. And this would be last week in Oddball Magazine.
There we go. And of course, it's going to be chock full of recommendations because, of course, I picked everything. But you should really go check it out at oddballmagazine.com. There's going to be a lot of regular occurring individuals such as our cartoonists Ann Scove and Jeffrey Fallon coming up very shortly because we always start the Monday off with comics. And it's also going to include people such as Jason Wright, Bruce Wise, and Janet Cormier, who are regular poet columnists. I shouldn't forget James Van Lloyd, but there's also regular contributing poets. Some are regulars in that they're usually published every 3 to 6 months, sometimes even more frequently if they're what I call the roving poets reporting on the news. And also there are special categories, such as on Monday, we try and publish a timely piece, something that comments on the world as we know it. And unfortunately, I have to claim very shameful bias because I was actually the featured poet this time, but that's because it's been really tough for people to react to the news as it's happening because it's all completely terrifying and people are justifiably numb from all of this. But we can go on into that
so
as we
we'll talk
confront
about
each piece individually.
Yeah, we'll talk about that poem and the reason why you wrote that in just a few minutes. So let's start off light with She Who Laughs Last, Freud. Okay, so if you're seeing this on our YouTube, Freud, the gloating one feels when all the traffic is headed in the opposite direction.
Ann Scove is a discovery from our Comics Spotlight series, which is actually happening this Monday, which we'll talk about, I guess, next Monday. It's usually every other Monday, along with Oddball Stories. Ann Scove is kind of a descendant of the Lydia Barry school of cartooning, and also a little bit of Roz Chast in her as well, the new famous New Yorker cartoonist. I do like her nonsensical entries. She's been doing a lot of travel logging lately, just sketchbooks of things that happen on her way to and fro during the holidays.
So where's Ann Scove from?
I believe she's from Ohio. She also has a mailing list, which I think I'm going to convince her to advertise on the Oddball page because it's another collection of artists and writers, and it's a nice way to network. And she's actually promoted Oddball Magazine through that as well.
Well, let's do it. The week that was. What is her on the week that was for Oddball Magazine? Do you know her information? We can put in the podcast.
I can probably give that to you afterwards. I actually am ashamed to say I did not join her set list outright, and she doesn't have a set website or even a link tree. But I can tell you this: if you go onto Twitter and search for her. Let me see. She is on. This is where I have to scramble really quickly. Here she is. She is under Twitter as at Annefesto. That's ANNEFESTO.
At
where you can find
Manifesto.
retweeting of where you can find retweeting of the cartoons we publish on Oddball Magazine, as well as original work and other publications. She gets around a lot.
Now that actually wasn't the first thing that we posted on Monday,
We do
but
have our veteran cartoonist Jeffrey Fallon, who has been doing a weekly strip for I think it's been close to 5 years now.
yeah, do you remember
Um,
when he first put this was his banner of just another Manic Monday? Am I right?
yes, the that was his first strip and ended up being the first banner. We might change the banner very soon.
Yeah,
Um,
maybe.
it's due a change, and plus he's been expanding a lot. His everyone has to have a universe now if they're a cartoonist, and his is the Askew universe.
So let's get into his this one. This it says,
I don't know how
Chad,
much we can show, but
do you want to read it? You want to read it?
I won't read it, but I will say that every Halloween now, Jeffrey Fallon, because of the similarities between his character and that of a Rick Sanchez, it's a deep cut,
Yeah.
and the robot, as a result, has been put on the back burner. And as I said in my Twitter thing, this escalated quickly, and but you can actually see, and it's our most ongoing unofficial crossover story of Jeffrey Fallon impersonating Rick Sanchez for Halloween, and then the real Sanchez doing something to either get back at
I'm gonna act it
Jeffrey.
out because I think it's pretty funny. So it's a robot on the chair, and he's like, "Hello, nice day, isn't it? I like your hat." And he says, "I'm gonna fucking kill those guys." Now, tell me a little
Jeffrey
about
started a
Jeffrey
new job
Fallon.
recently, so I don't know if there's anything to do with that. I don't know if the robot's talking about killing the other two main characters.
I think he's talking about killing the main characters because he's getting no. I think he's bottling up all his aggression. It says, "Hello, nice day, isn't it? I like your hat."
The robot has been
Kill those
has
guys.
was actually gonna be the co-star for a while, but kind of got moved back. So this is justifiable rage, and we'll see where it goes.
I like it, and we could actually next week we can talk about what happens because every week Jeffrey Fallon this is an ongoing comic strip, so
And the storyline is semi-ongoing. There is some sort of established continuity in this universe.
now who are
So,
some of the characters in Jeffrey Fallon's
well, there's his barely concealed autobiographical stand-in. And
yeah.
I actually don't know the name of the woman character. I know it's been a stand-in for at least two other people, and that's as much as I'll say. But
Yeah.
it's kind of interesting how things are escalating. I don't know if there's going to be a confrontation between the secondary character and the former secondary character, but we'll see what
I
happens.
mean, we could look at this week because this was last week. This is this week.
Yeah.
That was then. This is now. So the idea of Jeffrey's original bio was I draw and found objects, bills, takeout containers, cardboard, grocery store advertisements, old notebooks. He's kind of stepped up his game now. These look pretty good. These look pretty good comic strips.
He works on a tablet now and very rarely does sketch work. I do have a backlog of stuff that he did on the as a sketches, but they don't seem right to be used to use anymore because, like you said, his style has advanced.
His style is definitely advanced. So now let's talk about your poem that you wrote, and maybe we can give kind of a reason behind it. So at Oddball Magazine we write things when they happen, and this is in response to let's see, it's not loading, but
The Club Q shooting is what it's in response to.
the Club Q shooting. Yes.
And I did actually reach out to see if anyone had written anything to various to Stone Soup Facebook group, which is kind of like Oddball's unofficial appendage, asking if anyone had written anything about the Club Q. One poet got to me like one day after I published my own.
Yeah.
I didn't want that to go unnoticed. The Pride, we've been trying to do a regular Friday Pride, and I'll put this out right now for anyone who qualifies for a Pride entry poem that you want to enter. I mean, especially these days, please send us something via the Oddball submittable site. I wanted some kind of reaction to this, and
Oh, that's beautiful.
couldn't get anyone to do, write something, so I basically wrote it within an hour that very day. And Eric N. Peterson, who's been doing a bang up job ever since 2020 of doing timely political pieces, actually contributed this one on the spot.
Yeah,
He
it's gorgeous.
did this one in under an hour.
Now, Eric Peterson has been with us for a while. He does a lot of social commentary. Where is he from? He's an excellent artist.
He actually he's from a bunch of places. He used to live up in Somerville
Oh,
before he settled down in Georgia.
oh, he lives in Georgia.
He lives in Georgia right now, which is a veritable ever color changing state.
Mm.
So,
Mm,
he's one of the forces behind the blueness, and,
mm-hmm.
one of the many. Don't want to overstate his thing, but don't want to knock it either. And his work has been really instrumental, especially his COVID related cartoons. His first comic panel for us, his first illustration we used was a drawing of Big Bird with the with the bird plaid mask on.
Yep, yep, yep,
And
yep.
since then, he's been doing spot illustrations for us on everything from Trump
Trump
to
to
the pandemic
COVID
to
to
the death of Ruth Bader Ginsburg, which
yep.
was his
Oh,
that was his hero's lap.
he
That
had
was
some great art around that time of the Ruth Bader Ginsburg passing. And there was some great poetry at that time as well. So this
right.
is commentary from Chad Parenteau. Chad, would you like to
I'm not going to read it. I'd rather read one of the other poets because I get way too much exposure as it is.
can I read
But
it?
okay, why not?
All right. I'm going to read it. I can't do it justice, but I will read Chad's stuff here. Ship from the brink. They started telling me about the incident, a shooting, and then I go on to find out it's a gay bar. I got scared. Shit, is he gay? And he's not gay, so I said, phew. Aaron Brink, father of Anderson Aldrich, alleged Club Q shooter. First shots fired against tyranny. California Assemblyman Randy Vopel, grandfather of Anderson Aldrich, on the January 6th riots. First time in years, Dad's table feels empty, like a mag needing reload. He forgives son's pronouns, they, them sounds like child's legion, which of course this child is. Not turning rainbow trader, but grinding family gears. Insurgent mole digging down from Lexington and Concord all the way to Colorado. If bonds were bubblegum and prison was unfiled paper, to be fly over dead bird, hastily assembled for family reunion. Assembled for prodigal, not prodigal. Heads bowed, ending stock prayer with whispered refrain. Good job.
Basically, what the hypothetical meeting would have been between the Club Q shooter and the homophobic father,
Mm-hmm.
if his bail hadn't been denied.
And this is November 28th, so this is at Thanksgiving.
Hypothetical Thanksgiving.
Wow.
And again, just written very hastily because I felt something had to be done, but I don't want my words to be the final words. So anyone out there, please, submit your own words. There's so much happening right now. And luckily I've headhunted other people through mutual poets, through other virtual readings. So hopefully we'll be getting some more vital voices than mine to speak on this.
So if any of this poetry speaks to you, oddballmagazine.com is where you'll find it. And you can also send us your work at editors@oddballmagazine.com or chadpoetforhire@yahoo.com, or you can go through our submittable. If you go through our submittable, though, there's a lot of people going through our submittable. It's a very busy submittable.
We're getting caught up, but the best tip if you want to get published sooner is write something topical. That's just the way it is right now. But
Yeah.
if the people who have written and the stuff that we like, we will get to you and we will feature you as one of our Wednesday group, hopefully, or one of our Tuesday features. We're always looking for good work, and we're always debuting new people. Especially this year, especially this past month, I think we've done a lot of new people, including a couple of high school / college students who are submitting for what might be the first time
Plus,
ever.
we've got the holiday wars or the Christmas wars.
The Christmas Wars, we're still looking
Yeah.
for submissions.
So
I
let's
don't know
let's
if it's
let's. What is the Christmas wars? I mean, it's not. What do you think, Chad? The Christmas wars is?
the Christmas Wars is kind of taking a ceasefire now that Biden's in office, or they seem to be getting more riled up. It's hard to tell.
Oh, it's hard
But
to
it's
tell.
basically my take on the whole war on Christmas nonsense. So I basically say, what does it mean to you? Submit a poem, submit a short story. We're definitely getting some submissions, and people are interested. So we're gonna get some takes. Someone from a contributor from another country, asked me, "What is this Christmas war?" So there are people probably from from outside of America that don't understand
Well,
the fake outrage.
we've had the fake outrage. Well, I mean, every holiday we have the Christmas wars. You will definitely see my what is it? What's the one I do every year?
The Lonely Boy on Christmas.
Lonely Boy on Christmas. Yeah, I started that when he was asking for a PlayStation 2. So like this was a long time ago.
Yeah.
We read it every year, so it's something. So all right. So now after Chad, now this is still the same day, right, Chad? This is November 28th.
Yes.
So this is the
Mondays are our busiest day thus
fourth
far.
thing we put up on Oddball Magazine on November 28th.
Yes.
This is Oddball Stories with Nicola Wiggins. I'll tell you a little about Nicola Wiggins, but I'll tell you a little about Oddball Stories and the point behind it. They are true stories of people overcoming things. Not always overcoming things, but mainly just interesting stories in people's lives. We call it Oddball Stories.
I think the hashtag is the odd yet familiar slice of life,
The odd yet familiar,
or
slice of life.
a more than normal slice of life. That's the new hashtag now.
I like that hashtag. Yeah. So this is Nicola Wiggins. And if you don't mind, Chad, you wanna send us off to read this?
Well, it's called the name. I don't think we have time to read everything here, and this is quite a lengthy piece. But I do recommend her essay, 6 Words Every Mother Needs to Hear. Um, and I don't want to give away what the 6 words are, but it is basically this piece spoke to me because it talks about the wiped out parent, which I think in the wake of COVID more than ever, everyone is like that.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
it is it's
It,
definitely sympathetic to the parent, to the child, without being dismissive of either side. And
and it won't be like this forever.
this is another one of our authors overseas working out of the UK and Hertfordshire, and
Hertfordshire, yeah.
she has been published in the Huffington Post and Funny Pearls. So we're glad to. I considered this a get as well, just on that basis, but I didn't even know that when I accepted it. So
Yeah.
it was exciting just to get that.
It's a great piece, and if you get low light with Oddball Magazine after being in Huffington Post, they're, you know,
Yes.
I was in the New Yorker, Time, Huffington Post.
I don't think we've published anyone in the New Yorker yet.
No, I even tried to be in the New Yorker, and it didn't happen. No. All right, so the next we have Monday. Now we have Tuesday. Now we have a poem by Jacques Flory. Let's talk about Jacques
a more
Flory.
mellow day that gives us at least one featured Tuesday poet to shine. And Jacques Flory is someone who's contributed to us before. He's also a theater critic, and book critic. The poem today is. Oh, this is where I need just to scroll down.
Shimmer. I thought
Shimmer,
maybe
yes.
talk about The Work first by Edward Michael Sopranowitz, though. What is going on in this artwork?
The name of the art I try and get something that features in with the artwork. I'll quote a particular passage I liked from Jacques, but the name of this piece is Seeking Solace, and it's Seeking a Solace version 2AB.
So he's done a couple of
these. He does multiple versions of a single theme.
All right, so here
and
now,
but I thought that worked, especially with the light theme and with the author seeking revelation. And Jacques likes light. His premiere book was Sparks in the Dark. It was
Hmm.
actually a chapbook. Then when I first met him, then it became a full length book. So he's been doing this for a while, and it's because it starts with him searching for a revelation. Is it that great bundle that titillates my yearnings, that cagey combination of blood orange sunsets and lambent moons, lucid mornings and dazzling noons, ready-made peace that would piece together by amorphous path, emblematic of my mind, the zenith of my existence. And there's more than that came from.
And it goes on. Yeah, yeah.
It does go on. Definitely to check out oddballmagazine.com and check that out. And Jacques Fleury does have a
He has a
veritable
backlog
catalog.
with us. If you were to look up Jacques Flory, you will find a lot on Oddball.
Act three is almost his baby. We named it, but he's the only theater critic that we have, and he's
Hmm.
been doing a lot of that for a variety of publications. He's also a contributor to Spare Change, and a hard worker to say the least.
He's definitely out there in the poetry scene. I remember meeting Jacques in the very beginning of Oddball, and it was a great meeting and encounter. All right, this is Jagged Thought 452, beautiful. And I was just remarking on I'll just read it.
Well, let's look at this and look at a passage that I like. Let's do
Okay.
some teasers.
Okay, sure.
And I wanted to I was thinking about asking you this question, but let me bring it up on my end. People who are on the YouTube can see your face as the banner.
Oh yeah, there it is. Yep, that's me.
And this was all about one of the most beautiful people, fan of industrial music, camera in hand, a laugh I never heard, a dry wit in each picture, seeming like a lost cat, a shadow you could have met. What was it? Who was the emphasis was the inspiration for this?
There was someone I knew a long time ago who
Knew of or knew
knew
for
of. I
real?
didn't really know of them very very
Hmm,
much,
that's
but
what I thought.
she was a photographer and she liked industrial music, and I thought she was incredibly cool. Um, how she would be able to take photos, and just she had a really good eye for photography. And we lived in the same city at one point, and we just kind of never really crossed paths.
Is
Although I
she?
really,
Is this first person still alive?
oh yeah, I think so. I think so.
Oh, okay. So, all right, we'll keep the identity quiet, but
Yeah,
um,
but I
but
really like it because I don't know why, but I don't know why this poem came up, but you know how my mind seems to travel from history to future to past to present, and sometimes my stuff is not always as uh happy or sad or whatever, but it was just a remark on beauty, and that's where this came from.
yeah, and you've definitely been more introspective this round of poems. I think the prior month you were all about your new kid Emerson,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
now I'm waiting for more kid material to come out, especially during
You
Christmas.
know what? I know why I wrote this. I know why I wrote this. Remember the last poem I wrote about Nine Inch Nails?
Yeah,
And it was like, you remember that one? That's where that came from, because the person
gotcha.
really liked like Nine Inch Nails, and I remember hearing. I mean, I don't think anyone got my poem. Did you get my poem? There was three different Nine Inch Nails songs in that poem
I
about
knew I heard at least
animals.
two. I caught at least two.
Oh, I thought
And there was
I
a pig reference too, wasn't there? I don't
yeah,
have it in
yeah,
front of me.
yeah,
Yes. I
yeah.
I could sing Piggy Pig by Trent Reznor to myself. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. I what was it? The barnyard owl has animals.
Yeah.
All
Oh God.
right. So what do we
Yes.
got here? Camera Symphonica. Is this another? Is this? Oh, Sasha Altman de Brule. When did we publish Sasha Altman de Brule?
I'm.
That
Is
can't
this
be
some?
right.
I can't. I don't think so.
No,
I'm
no,
looking at. I'm looking at the
no.
records
He was
now.
on the Oddball Show, and he just recently did this amazing workshop, big seminar with Gabor Mate and all sorts of other people. I was like, whoa! But Sasha Altman de Brule, check him out on the Oddball Show.
Okay. Well, the next thing, I hate to say it, this is the most awkward week because I very rarely put anything of myself in the on the journal on the magazine, and this is for the first time I put two things. But to be fair, in my defense, this is a book review of two contributors, visual and both word prose wise and visual to Oddball Magazine, Camera Symphonica,
Yeah.
and this is a book after my heart because this is all about the Yellow Vest protests in Paris that were actually taking place during the pandemic. So there were a lot of demonstrations and there was a lot of hullabaloo going on. Jamie Martinez is actually a displaced American living in France now,
Wow.
and and Louise Lazar. I'm sorry, I always say his.
Louis Lazaro Tyrina.
Thank you, Louis Lazaro Tarina.
He's an
He is a
incredible
displaced American
photographer.
currently living in Canada, and he was the one that had the impetus to merge his words with the photography that Jamie Martinez was coming out. And Jamie was another unsung hero of the pandemic times, the height of the really bad times where he was just filming what France looked like under lockdown. He even recreated a famous photo of two people walking hand in hand with masks on from the bird flu influenza back in 1919,
So
and he
this,
actually was able to recreate that with two people walking in Paris.
wow.
That
So
was that was amazing, and a lot. I do recommend this book for anyone who is listening to this. It's a very simple book, very inexpensive, and it's a collection of photography and the poetry that Luis was inspired to write. And this is a book that should get more recognition.
I mean, absolutely. I think Louis Lazaro Tyrina is an amazing photographer.
He's done a good job, and I mean, Luis is a photographer and a poet as well.
Mhm.
And but Jamie does the majority of the line, does all the work here as far as photography goes.
Yeah, he does the lion's share of the poetry. Yeah.
Well, no, Luis does the poetry, Jamie does the photography.
Oh, really? So this is Luis's poetry book.
Yes,
Oh, wonderful.
but it's very
And
much their own collaboration together, so that's why they're up there as dual authors.
now, is this translated?
Oh yeah, it's some French words, but pretty much in English. That's still Luis's main language, though he can
Camera
rock the French on
Symphonica.
occasion.
Camera Symphonica. And so you can see this. Now we are moving to. This was Wednesday, right?
This was actually on
This was
Tuesday
on
afternoon. It was
Tuesday.
a
All
surprise
right.
entry.
The surprise entry from Chad and a book review of Camera Symphonica.
And we're looking for more book reviews if you're interested. Anyone besides me writing them is usually a plus.
I mean, I would write. I did a review of David Goggins' "You Can't Hurt Me," I believe.
True.
I did a review of Les Brown's "Live Your Dreams," I think. So I could maybe jump on the. I mean, I don't know. I did read a book recently called "This Time Tomorrow." I could write a review on that, but all right. So now we got a poem by John Gray. We got photography by Karen A. Sklaney.
Yes, it's Karen Sklanny. She is a poet living in the Bolton Stowe area of Massachusetts. She was a regular at Stone Soup, which is how I came to know her work, and also an author, a poet in her own right. Her photography paired perfectly with John Gray's "Robin Deals with Life," which is in John Gray's unhinged, hinged manner. John Gray's been a contributor for a long time to Oddball over the years. He's an Australian, displaced Australian turned American, I believe, living in Rhode Island. Last I checked, And I just love the opening lines. A screw loose is it? With the name of the title of the poem is Robin Deals with Life, and the opening lines is, a screw loose is it? The brain like a car door that could fly off at any moment, even at slow speeds. There's still the risk of it falling by the roadside and the mind rolling into the gutter or burning up on tar. You reckon you're that fruitcake with all the nuts, or the pack of cards with half a suit missing. This is classic John. Definitely read the rest of the poem for the climax. And but yeah, I wanted to give one of our veterans a little holiday time homecoming to come back to the magazine. This was a good time. And I want to segue into the next poem because this is actually for the first time. I sometimes I don't have the debuting author feature at the end, but this person was too good to not put at the top of the list by the end of Wednesday. John's had his time at the top, and it was this poet's turn.
So
it's and of course, not only do I have to embarrass myself by introducing a poem of mine that I published this last week, I also have to try and figure out the exact pronunciation of this poet. And as near as I can tell, it's Beate Sigridate. And
I will try. You see, that's what you're going with. I'm going with Beatty
or Bete Sigridate.
Wait, no, bote, like beauty. No, beauty, Sigridate.
We'll have to go. I have to go on to Google to pronunciations. I have to get YouTube to pronounce the names for me.
We do have Jennifer Matthews here, who is a regular.
Yeah, this is a photo I've been wanting to use of hers for a while. This is one poem that I can recite in its entirety. Somersaults in Difficult Time. She watches their performance, how they train each other to be what they are not. Then they ache. Then they repeat the process. Then they ache some more. And then she almost cries because she knows she too is one of them. And the photo of the shadowed figure, the shadow figures, the shadows of two people. I'm sure one of them is photographer's self-portrait from Jennifer.
Mm-hmm.
But even though they weren't somersaulting, they did seem to be reaching up in a way that you could imagine it. It was a good pair for the poem.
It means like she's almost going to go into a somersault.
Almost, yeah. You can identify it as that, and that was coincidental. But it's nice when I can find a piece that just speaks to the poem. And this shadow photo I've held on to for a while, looking for the perfect opportunity.
Well, you nailed it.
And
this is
it was a good match. I was very happy with that, and I'm very happy with Bete's, and she's an older poet too. Her first time in Oddball Magazine, and I hope she, although very experienced, she lives in Silver City, New Mexico, and she served as poet laureate from 2017 to 2019.
Wow!
Not content to rest on her laurels, she submitted to Oddball. So her list of credits and impressive CV continues to grow.
So she's the poet laureate, and she also submitted to Oddball. So
yes,
published in Oddball Magazine. You know,
beat that resume.
But you know what? She should definitely, if she hears this podcast, she should definitely come back and send some more stuff. Because
I'm hoping she does.
All right, what do we got next?
Well, that was the end of the Wednesday feature, and Wednesday's my favorite day because I get to feature two contributing poets and hopefully a new photographer and new contributing artist. Thursday is the quiet day, where it's my post Stone Soup hangover and post Wednesday hangover. So I post. We'll hopefully get some more work back from contributors or columnists in the future, but for now, it's nice to feature. Classy, It's All One Thing. It's All One Thing is the ongoing poem column from James Van Looy, where it's his ongoing.
It's his place to write, and we've had James Van Looy in Oddball Magazine since inception.
Yes, and it's his and it's his own take on classy Obama. They then say, then compare. I'm sorry, I totally said that wrong. I can't start a poem to save my life today. Classy Obama, they then say, compare and contrast with the four-time presidential candidate who now equating his 2 impeachments combined with his multiple ongoing criminal investigations. His fans confabulate with 6 years of investigations. They see started with his down escalator journey to just this inevitable, deadly head-on collision with those pesky, immutable ground-level facts on the ground in face whenever you turn around. James has a stream of consciousness way of writing things, and everything leans to the all one thing, which I don't want to explain, but
Because
James
it would
kind
take
of
a
does it.
podcast to explain it.
Yes,
Yeah.
and James explains it every week, and he's the longest columnist that we have at Oddball Magazine, because he started a few weeks before your Jagged Thoughts
Yeah.
became a regular weekly thing. So he is the bannerman. He's been doing this for a while, and I'm glad to give him his spot on Thursday every week.
And he's still, and I mean, this retro, I mean, this says it. It's retro looking by this point. You know, it's all one thing.
True. We've never been able to photograph him get him stand in one place long enough to photograph him. But if I ever do, I'd like to meet James in that way.
He
The
deserves it.
reader,
Yeah, people need to know who James Van Loy is.
definitely. And this is one way to do it. And he's a figure in the Boston poetry scene he's spanning about nearly 5 decades now, and shows no sign of stopping.
All right, now we have on the same. Oh, this is Friday now.
Yes, it's Friday. Janet Cormier.
All right, so Janet Cormier is a Somerville poet. Let's talk a little about Janet Cormier.
She's actually living in Jamaica Plain now. She used to be Somerville, but she lives in JP now, and she actually just had another artist showcase in Jamaica Plain.
Oh, wow.
She's been a part of multiple art shows, and hers are more contemplative, and I like the tone that she sets into now, because it's kind of like helps with the closing of the week of Bamboozled No More, Hindsight, New England November, days passing quickly, Thanksgiving, then Christmas arrives, time be moving so fast, I miss the days of my youth.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a longer contemplation about family. Family definitely comes up more, I think, in her poems, especially during the holidays. And it's basically what turned out to be a political commentary is still that, but it's also turned into a poetic diary, much in the way I think yours column is, as well as James Van Loy in his own way. And it goes from there. I think Janet has always been worth a read.
Absolutely.
And it is a nice way to kick off Friday.
And then we end Oddball Magazine every Friday. Sometimes we add more, but this is the this is the amazing Bruce Wise's wise words.
Yeah, so, I want you to pick a favorite, sir.
All right, I'm gonna pick one. All right, so
Bruce Wise was your discovery all those years ago.
Well,
so
Bruce sent us so much poetry on a regular basis that I just said, why don't you just write for us? And we decided. I don't know how we ended up even coming up with wise words. I don't know if I don't think I've ever had a conversation with him.
I thought that was his baby.
Yeah. I think he came up with it. I don't think I've never talked to Bruce Wise. I've exchanged emails with him. I don't know what he looks like. I don't know where he's from.
Well, you know a little bit about how he looks like from the photo.
Is that him?
I think that's him. You just have to really squint.
Yeah, and so Bruce Wise, you have to experience Bruce Wise. His poetry. He starts off usually with haikus, and then he basically arranges his name, unless it's multiple people.
It's basically supposed to be multiple people, but it's every contributor is basically an anagram of Bruce M. Wise or Bruce W. Wise.
Bruce, I don't know, but you learn a lot about stuff when you read Wise words. I'm kind of scrolling through because there's so many of them. I mean, this is one work a week.
This is one column a week with multiple things
It's I mean, what are we at 20 here? I mean, this is
close to it.
yeah,
It's definitely a stream of consciousness in and of itself to read each one.
yeah. But the thing is about I've noticed some trends. Uh, there's a lot of yoga in it. There's a lot of
He's taken up
meditation.
yoga in recent years, maybe the past year. So he usually writes about a special pose that he's doing or a special exercise. Yes.
Sometimes he writes about me, which I thoroughly enjoy. Which
Why don't you read "Grokking the Meaning of Grok"? That was further down.
oh, grokking the meaning of grok.
Yes.
Here we go.
Exactly.
Grokking the meaning of grok by Eska Webuilder. Pronunciation of this word with 50 shades of gray. That's like a guttural grr terminated by AK. With very little or no vowel sound, a sharp, harsh, flat, accordingly like as a bullfrog fighting with a cat. For its remote intelligence, it gathers by the way. It is the keystroke logging software used by NSA. To regrok code is to reload its intricacies and its memory. Oh yes, one can over understand. Now that is, I'm going to read another one because I really just let's see, another early morning commute.
There we go.
By Bruce Diesel.
Or is it Brooke? I don't know.
Brooke? Yeah, it's probably Brooke. It was another morning commute. Old coffee cup. He jumped into the car, released the brake, and started up. He backed up down the driveway. It was 31 degrees, but carefully and artfully, car camera for ease. He faced the road ahead, observing traffic in his way, and he went forth, his engine north, oh yes, without delay. He drove along down concrete streets and wide berth avenues, down highways with the semis and so very many views. He felt like as he was a rolling vehicle himself. When would he reach his satisfactory place in der Welt? And then he has... then he has the other one. So he has another early morning commute, and then he has another one about Sunday morning. And then at the end, it says Bruce Diesel is a poet of transportation.
Yes. Each of his personalities has each of his pen names is an anagram of his actual name, and it's also each name has its own characteristic and its own specialty and what kind of poem that person writes.
I love it. Bruce Wise is a perfect way to end a Friday at Oddball Magazine.
I'm trying to get something more zen to end Friday, and hopefully that'll be announced soon. But in the meantime, I do want to make an announcement that one of my disappointments was a lack in the Pride poetry. We haven't been able to get as much, and I think I know the reason why is because there's a lot more electronic journals out there with an LGBTQ. Sorry if I rearranged the letters. With that type of audience in mind, like that's completely centric to them. So I can see why they'd want to submit there, but we do want to hear your voice, your words, and we've had some amazing people come down the pipeline. And that doesn't mean that, if you feel that there's something that's pride centric, submit it. But I also want to say, if you're a gay, trans, bi author and you want to submit on any other number of subjects, we're not just going to keep you in the pride section. We will feature your work regardless.
Yeah.
And I want to make that clear, and hopefully we'll be able to make that clear in the submittable soon. But we do want your pride entries because things are getting really fucking dangerous now, which is why I wrote the poem that I wrote on Tuesday. And we do want your voices to be represented because I don't want to say wiping out, but it feels like entire groups of people are being wiped out.
Yep.
And I don't want any one of you to go away, and I want you to know you have a home here.
Yep, it's a safe space for you to write and send us your stuff. That being said, if anything is going on in the news and you want to write about it, we have the timely submission where we'll post your stuff up almost automatically. Now, remember,
well, we do vet it, but we do have a vetting system, but that's a good way to get published right away. That section is styled after journals like the New Verse News, which tries to publish the news like within a few days of it happening.
Yep. And remember, Wednesdays are the day for a lot of new work. But we are, you know, any day of the week you could be a part of Oddball Magazine. And you know, we've been doing this now for over 10 years, I believe. Chad, are we on 10
Well,
years?
you've been doing it for about 10 years. I think I'm on year 8 or 9.
Yeah, we've been doing it.
But no signs of stopping. God help us.
Yep. And you know, I just wanted to take this moment. You know, we every you know every week of Oddball Magazine there is it's a you'll never know what you're gonna get. And what I'd like to do with this segment, this is the Oddball Show, but this is called The Week That Was, and this is a part of the podcast with me and Chad, and you know, we go over Oddball Magazine. And if you like this idea, give us a like in the comments, or hit us up on oddballmagazine.com. You can contact us. And
comments and likes are also appreciated within oddballmagazine.com itself. And you can check out my page at www.chadpoetforhire.com, where I do a lot of featuring of Oddball and calls for submissions, and it's a big to do, and we're glad to do it.
So that's the week in Oddball. Is there any other announcements we want to make before we call it a day?
Submit to the Christmas Wars. You have until the Sunday before the big Christmas week. That would be near midnight on the 25th.
All right, and we'll be back again with another Oddball Show and another week that was. And until then, Chad, take us out. Yeah,
we're Oddball. You're not, but you could be. Have a good night.
Have a good night. And this has been the Oddball Show, a little segment we call The Week That Was, and we'll be at you. All right, see y'all soon.
See ya.